What battles were you in? Battle of the Bulge. Gettysburg.
I like the Battle of the Bulge.
Antietam, no.
Of course.
What battle?
I'm reading a book right now, actually, about called Demon of Unrest. It's about the attack on Fort Sumner. Basically, it takes place from Lincoln getting elected in November of 1860, until April 12th, 61, when they fired on Sumter.
That's right.
And so I know my history pretty well.
Me too. I loved it. I love my...
I'm a Civil War buff. I love all that stuff. So, but the level of detail in that 6 months that this book goes into is fantastic. I really...
You mean how the war really could have been avoided?
So many things could have been done differently.
Right.
So many things.
That's true of the
but
beginning.
But at the core, like a lot of, there was a big revisionist movement, I guess, where they tried to paint it as states' rights. States' rights. It was all about states' rights.
They still do.
Well, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
They still do.
I know, but it wasn't. At the core of it, it was always going to come back to slavery.
Of course it was.
Right.
Which had been the issue for the entire century.
Yes.
1808 is when, I mean, first of all, they were gonna get rid of it right from the get.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, we're not gonna have the southern states as part of this country unless we give in, but we're gonna sunset it to 1808. In other words, kick it down the road. Something
so we can get this done.
So we can get this done.
Yeah.
1808, okay, so it's bad, but it's a word. Then Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin, which made picking slavery like way more, economically feasible.
Yeah.
So then they were like, fuck that. We had the Compromise of 1820, the Compromise of 1830. All these places along the way where they came up to this issue. Missouri Compromise.
Yeah.
All this where they came up to this issue and they just couldn't quite do it.
Yeah.
And then, the great man theory of history, true. Lincoln came along and he said, enough's enough.
Yep.
Just like a century later, Kennedy came into office and also said, enough's enough.
Mm-hmm.
We got rid of slavery. That was a century ago, but we really didn't complete the revolution. And I'm going to send troops into the South to make sure the kids can go to school.
Yeah.
It just takes somebody willing, in both those cases, willing to get shot.
Eisenhower did it in 57 down in Little Rock.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. And so, but when I the level of detail, because I knew Sumter and I knew, okay, blah, blah, blah. I knew the big pivot moments, but the way they break it down and they talk a lot about Major Anderson and P.T. Beauregard and Jefferson Davis and all the politics and the things that were going on, it just reminds you like, oh, this is us. This is every day, There may be big things going on, but so many things can be decided and judged.
World War I.
Yeah.
Did you ever read Barbara Tuchman's The Guns of August?
No. I've heard of it, but I haven't.
It's one of those seminal books. It's the same idea. Like the Archduke Ferdinand is shot on June 28th.
Right.
The war doesn't start till August. They had that time.
They had the time to stop.
To stop it and to say, wait, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
We're Europe. We're, supposedly civilized people.
Right.
Things are going pretty good. And this is just no one's going to win this. And nobody did. And yet they could not stop it. That's
the thing. Some of the biggest tragedies, and I'm not saying the Civil War was a tragedy. It was actually a very good thing. It had to happen. So many times people go into things half-cocked. And they end up in a quagmire, in a cesspool. Because nobody thinks about you got to think about the beginning, middle, and end. It's like when you write a play or do an act or whatever, you got a big opener, something strong in the middle, and then a big closer.
The one guy who thought of that was George Bush the first.
I was just going to say that.
Right?
Yeah.
And Colin Powell.
Yeah.
Colin Powell had the Pottery Barn rule. You break it, you bought it.
Yeah.
And Bush, not everybody, but a lot of people said,
Saddam said, go get him.
Go get him. Go all the way to Baghdad.
And he was like, no,
and he said,
these are the parameters we set up in the beginning, and that's it.
Exactly. And then his dumb son comes into office and goes all the way to Baghdad, you know, okay, I'm sorry. I was probably too hard on Bush at the time. But, I mean, I didn't agree with that going all the way to the whole thing. But it's funny because I use that metaphor often in my life. I don't think people know what I'm talking about when I say, yeah, I just don't want to go all the way to Baghdad. They'll be like, you know, why don't you marry this girl? I'm like, I just don't want to go all the way to Baghdad.
It just goes over their head?
Well, I know
Did
what I
anybody
mean.
catch it? Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I kicked Saddam out of Kuwait. That's enough.
Yeah.
I don't got all.
That's probably like a Dennis Miller reference for some people.
Yeah,
right?
oh, yeah, something like that.
You're too hip for the
but
room, man.